Okay, one, two, three. Assalamualaikum and very good morning to all. I am Nurul Ain Izzati Binti Rendrye as your mediator for today, and I hope all of you are in a good condition and ready for our forum. This is a 30 minutes forum and we will be open a Q&A session for our audience to ask our panel at the end of the forum. Today's topic will be a discuss on online learning is the future. Without wasting our time, let me introduce all of you our panels. We have Nurul Suhana as panel 1, Nur Aina as panel 2, Intan ZULAIKHA as our panel 3, Aina Syatirah as panel 4, and lastly, panel 5, we have Nurul Ain. Here's a short introduction of our topic. Many specialists believe that the future of education is online learning. As technology becomes available, more and more students will gain the type of knowledge they have, and maybe the world can greatly improve their career prospects. In developing countries, online learning will enable students to study subjects such as coding, IT, programming, engineering, thus promoting innovation throughout the world. So, regarding to this topic, let us hear our panel's opinion. Ms. Nurul Suhana, what do you think of this topic?
Thank you, moderator. A very good day I did to all of you. In my opinion, the main advantage of online learning is flexibility. How are students benefiting from flexible learning? According to the article that I have read from Online Business School, flexible learning provides students with full of control and accountability for their learning. Rather than having to show up in a class, they are able to decide and allocate time for their learning. This control not only allows them to coordinate their education and around their commitments, but ensures that they are learning at the best time. For example, some students can study better at the midnight, but traditional education may restrict them by only offering classes during the day. Flexible learning allows the students to manage on how and when they will learn by tailoring their course to their own capabilities. This ultimately leads to them retaining information and producing better results. They also have the advantage of learning at their own pace, which can help to improve a lot of pressure. Lecturers often speedily run through concepts and then follow up with a task that the students are required to complete. This can pressure individuals to quickly complete the task but does not leave space for students to ask questions. If the students have not understood a concept or idea that the lecturers explained, they are not able to complete the task to the best of their ability. The flexibility of online learning allows students to slowly grasp concepts and ensure full comprehension before moving forward. Again, this leads better grades for the students. In addition, online classes offer video lectures. Students get the chances to access their material. You can also attend live classes at your home in your environment surrounding at the convenient. For example, universities can encourage lecturers to do pre-recorded lectures so that students will be able to watch anytime they want at any place they want to. Online classes will help you manage your health as well as work life efficiently. To conclude, it can be seen that online classes is the future of education as it requires more self-discipline and responsibilities from the students and the lecturers, as students will spend on their own time without someone physically, and to keep them focused on their deadlines. Although online learning is the best choice to those who have obstacles such as geographical distance and physically disabilities. That's all for me.
I'm sorry, Miss Suhana, but I kind of disagree with your opinion because online learning has this weakness that lack of essential online qualities by the facilitators. This is because the pandemic has been going on for more than 1 year, and the student is still finding it hard to adapt to studying online because the lecture is getting more harder and the assignment is getting more difficult. But we must also remember because students are adapting, but so is the lecturer because they are not trained for giving online lesson. So they are still adapting and still trying to find new techniques on how to give lessons to students. They are not properly trained yet, and they have to find the best technique in giving lectures, in giving virtual classroom. so that the students are comfortable in participating the classroom and understand well what they are learning. Um, they must also, the lecturer must also be able to communicate well in writing and in the language they are they are conveying in the course that are being taught. And online lecture must be also compensated for the lack of physical presence, because they are not face to face and just through online learning through Gmeet and all that. So all students must be participating for the lecturer to know whether the student understand or not. But sometimes the student do not give any feedback to the lecturer. So the lecturer sometimes doesn't even know if the student doesn't understand anything in the class. So lecturer must also be accessible to the student all the time, because sometimes after class student might be studying by themselves and sometimes they do not understand what they are studying. So the lecturer doesn't even have like personal time, because all the time they must be accessible. Nevertheless, even if a virtual lecturer is competent enough to create a comfortable virtual classroom, the lack of physical presence will always be a limitation for the online learning. So that's all from me.
But based on the articles that I have read, according to the author indicates a similar point of view, which is easy access to resources, and I agree with that point. Investing in extra educational resources for students outside of school, such as textbooks and private tutors, has traditionally been extremely expensive, and this really limit who had access to the extra resources they needed to succeed in their studies. So by having an online learning, they can have easy access to resources, as online educational resources are now easily accessible to anyone with an internet connection, whether they are using a laptop, iPad, or smartphone, and many of these resources are free. This makes education more affordable and accessible to more students regardless of financial circumstances. Also, educational technology increases access to learning in more ways than one, and it also makes it easier to overcome some of the barriers encountered while studying with a disability. For example, digital textbook can assist those who may struggle to travel to a library due to a physical disability in gaining access to resources. Digital textbooks also frequently provide more flexibility in terms of how information is presented, and the format of digital textbook can frequently be modified to make the information more accessible to visually impaired students. And also, in an e-learning course, materials can be updated quickly and easily in real time. When new information and advances in technology become available, rather than having to update and reprint expensive and environmentally unfriendly textbooks, online information can simply be added or updated to keep information continuously fresh and current. Only the information that needs to be updated requires editing, which saves school and students the tremendous expense of constantly printing new material. So as we know, this expense often leaves children and adult learners studying information that is no longer relevant or current. And not only that, all documentation needed for learning will be stored and easily accessible. All communication, discussions, and training materials will be stored in a database, and emails allowing you easier access. In a traditional setting, acquiring this information will require class attendance and note-taking or meetings with the lecturer to try and obtain the information that may be missing. Furthermore, as we have access to hundreds of different types of educational resources via the internet, ranging from websites to educational games, podcasts, and audiobooks, this is extremely beneficial for students who memorize information using a particular learning style. This can be used by teachers to make lessons more appealing to a variety of different types of learners, or by students at home seeking additional assistance with their studies. And what I conclude from my point is online learning is obviously an easy way for future education because it can give lots of benefits and free resources. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
But Intan, I disagree with your point because my view on this topic is that this online distance learning or ODL will lead students to stress and mental health. This is because during this ODL, it increased workload, for example, difficulty of classwork and overloaded of course content. Students report that their academic workloads have increased since the pandemic hit. In fact, some claim to be burdened by the number of assignments assigned to them. Based on the article I have read, the author Dr. Christopher Yao Kwa and also Gabriel Aselfi from University of Cape Coast, Ghana, they said during their face-to-face session with their students, the students showed complaints of headache, sleepiness, and fatigue. Empirical evidence of the impact of stress on the individual has shown that depending on the stress coping strategies of the individual, stress could be very harmful to a person's physical and mental health. It is demonstrated in the newspaper that I read in New Straits Times, which emphasized the importance of mental health newspaper that which emphasized the importance of mental health support for students. Most university students struggle to focus on their studies while also maintaining their mental health. Long-term isolation as a result of online learning can have a negative impact on someone's mental health. One survey has been conducted among university students in Malaysia to evaluate their level of anxiety between April and May 2020. According to the study, 20.4% of students experience minimal anxiety, meanwhile 6.6% experience moderate anxiety, and 2.8% experience extreme anxiety. According to the World of Bars Media Company in Kuala Lumpur, authored by Cecilia Chang, university student in Sarawak allegedly commits suicide due to stress from studies. Thus, because of the overload of work and assignment that have been assigned, online learning has increased someone's stress to the maximum level. If this not addressed properly, it could lead to worse cases of stress, mental health issues, and will eventually affect student personal well-being. Furthermore, because students will be spending more time in front of screen or tablets during this ODL, they will experience physical strain and a lack of sleep, which will lead them to stress. You may be surprised to know that increased exposure to smart device and screen has been linked to increased stress and burnout. According to the Johns Hopkins University newsletter, Matthew Walker, a sleep scientist at Google and professor at neuroscience at the University of California at Berkeley, explained how a lack of sleep can affect learning outcomes. If the stress are prolonged and high levels of stress, if not controlled, it could also result into poor academic, examination malpractice, and incidents of improper behavior among tertiary students. Hence, online distance learning or ODL is not good to implement because it can cause stress and affect someone's mental health. That's all from me.
Thank you, Anis, for your opinion. In my point of view, online education enables you to study from anywhere in the world. This means that there is no need to commute from one place to another or follow a rigid schedule. On top of that, not it allows you to save time, you can also save money, which can be spent on other priorities. The virtual classroom is also available anywhere as long as there is an internet connection, and a good way to take advantage of this to travel. Normally, people have to travel from one location to other location to visit a class. Traveling not just wastes your time, but also creates an extra expenditure. The cost spent on fuel, parking, and public transport fare can be easily saved by joining online classes. For example, if you live in East Malaysia and studying in West Malaysia, then online classes are the best option you can have. There's no reason to give up on working and studying while exploring new and exotic places. The greatest factor of online learning is the ease of access to all the educational materials. Due to the sophistication of modern technology, course content can be accessed through a smartphone with an internet connection. And not all the subjects require to purchase study material, including books and stationery. Instead, you can get downloadable materials including syllabus PDF and videos. In most online learning programs, you'll be able to save on material costs. Many educators offer online education through live video, which helps you to save time as well as your money. Unlike in-person educational methods, online education tends to be more affordable. There's also often a wide range of payment options let you to pay in installment or per class. This allows for better budget management. Many of you may also be subject to discount or scholarships, so the price might be high. You can also save money from the commute and class materials, which are often available for free. In other words, the monetary investment is less, but
I'm
the
sorry
result
for
is
interrupting, Suhana, but I think your explanation is kind of weak because there are no strong evidence to support your explanation. I really disagree with your statement about online learning give a benefit to a student in terms of the cost that need to incur. In my opinion, students and lecturers still need to incur costs, especially in terms of technology and internet service. It is because online learning requires students and lecturers to have their own technology such as computer, laptop, and mobile phone. And besides that, they need to purchase for internet line service to access online classes. Besides that, then there will be a problem also in terms of their internet connection. Even though technology has been improved day by day, but in a smaller city and town, a consistent connection with decent speed is a problem. This is one of the key challenges of online classes. Students need to have a good internet connection and some students need to buy their own laptop to access online learning. Based on Priyanka Gautam, who known as a writer of e-learning industry article, she also stated that same argument about disadvantage of online learning which is come from problem internet connection. Not only that, the cost of paying for internet service also high. Not everyone in this world have a high income to pay for internet every month, especially during this pandemic of COVID-19. A lot of parents has lost their job or their income has been affected and low than usually they earn. For example, in some area of the United States and other countries, internet access pose a significant cost to the users. Some users pay a fixed monthly rate for their internet connection, while others are charged for the time they spend online. If the participant time online is limited by the amount of internet access, they can afford their then instruction and participation in the online program will be not equitable for all students in the course. Besides that, based on the Pew Research Center 2015 US Cancer Bureau data finding 2018, 50% of households with school-age children do not have a high-speed internet connection at home. 1 in 14 whose annual family income is less than $30 does not have access to a home computer, and 70% of teens often or sometimes are unable to do their homework due to a lack of access to a computer or the internet. Based on their finding, it already showed that how actually bad the situation needs to face by a student or educator itself to have an online learning. That's all from me.
Alright then. So, do any of you wants to add something or any points here?
I think I want to add something.
Okay.
Besides that, online learning also have a negative effect to a student and lecturer due to inaccessible to the computer. Based on Nelson Mandela, who as a writer of article and she has done a research and feedback from some students that need to face online learning. In her article, she stated that even though 96% of America own mobile phone and around 70% of America own a personal computer, we cannot simply say that education is easily accessible to most people. It is because the rate of the computer literacy are still far from perfect. Not everyone know how to use computer and mobile phone. Instead, there are still 25% of people who face computer illiteracy. It means that around a quarter of the population will have a major trouble in accessing online learning. Besides that, a quarter of the population that having a problem of computer illiteracy is come from OECD country, which is considered as a developer country with high income economy. For example, there are still a larger gap in a computer in the population in India, even though this country actually being one of the major player in the world of online learning. That's all from me.
Thank you, Ms. Nurul Ain. As to conclude this forum, learning is an experience for society. Traditional classroom-based teaching method will always have a place, but they are becoming increasingly integrated with online learning. And while the direction in which technology will take us are almost impossible to predict, online learning is set to play an important part in learning institutions throughout the world. That's all from our forums today. Thank you everyone for participating and thank you to all our panel for spending their times for today's discussion. That's all.
Thank you.